Exposed. How 30 seconds of heartwarming truth from his daughter transformed a millionaire's life. Mike Connor, a self-made millionaire living in the heart of his small Midwestern town, stood on the stage of the annual summer festival, feeling the weight of expectation in the air. The townsfolk cheered, smiles plastered on their faces as they clapped for the man who once was their handyman, now draped in the prestige of success. But as he accepted accolades that felt more like chains than honors, a hollow echo filled his heart. A stark contrast to the joyful laughter of simpler, more meaningful days. In those early years, family came first. He'd fix bikes for neighborhood kids, share stories with his neighbors over lemonade, and find bliss in helping others. Now, his life was swallowed up by spreadsheets, endless meetings, and feelings of isolation, a far cry from the warmth of community and family. It was during this festival that everything would change. If only he could have sensed it coming. When the applause quieted, Mike's teenage daughter, Lily, stepped forward from behind the curtains, clutching the microphone with trembling hands. Her eyes shimmered with emotion, filled with courage and vulnerability as she addressed the crowd. "This isn't the dad I remember," she said, voice cracking like the smile that had once lit up their summer afternoons. "I wish he was here with me, finding joy in our treasure hunts around the neighborhood, visiting veterans, or just sharing a laugh under the stars." The silence that followed was deafening. You could hear a pin drop as her words wrapped around the audience like a warm embrace, stripping away the facade of his success. An invisible weight pressed heavily on Mike's chest as realization drowned him. He had become the definition of success that society praised, but had utterly forsaken his heart. The sight of his daughter, vulnerable and brave, made his insides twist with regret. He could almost hear his own heart whisper, "What have you done?" Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The days that followed were filled with a painful echo of unspoken words between Mike and Lily. He tried planning a surprise family picnic, a return to their old tradition, but every attempt felt like running into a brick wall. Lily's eyes, once bright and full of love for him, now reflected a disappointment that clawed at his heart. In every failed gesture, silence grew heavier, thickening the air with unspoken tension. It felt as if the past, a past of hugs, laughter, and love, was slipping through his fingers like sand on a beach. But Mike's resolution hardened. He knew he needed to confront the hollowness that had enveloped him, acknowledge the love he had left behind. He envisioned approaching both Lily and the community he had once cherished, arms wide open for forgiveness. Yet, with each passing moment, the weight of his choices bore down on him. Could he find the strength to reclaim the warmth he had so recklessly abandoned? Or would he remain trapped in the shadow of his own success? As he stood outside his family home, heart racing and breath quickening, Mike felt the pull of hope and fear intertwine. The echoes of Lily's truth played in his mind as he raised his hand to knock on the door. Would it be an embrace or silence that awaited him inside? The answer lingered just beyond the door, leaving him on the edge, ready to redefine what it truly meant to be a hero. The door creaked open and there stood Lily, her eyes wide but unreadable. The faint glow of the setting sun illuminated her features, casting long shadows behind her. For a brief moment, Mike could almost see the little girl she used to be, with her wild hair and bright, innocent smile. But that was gone, replaced by a wary teenager who wore her heart like armor. "Dad," she started, her voice barely a whisper. The word hung in the air, a bridge stretching between dreams and disappointment. He took a deep breath, forcing himself to meet her gaze. "Lily, The words stuck in his throat. So much to say, yet so little that felt right. "I came to talk to you. I want to make things right." She stepped back, crossing her arms, a defensive posture that felt like a fortress. "Make things right? You think you can just waltz back in and everything will be the way it was?" There was a crack in her voice that tugged at his heart. like a fading melody. "I know I've been absent and I messed up," he admitted, each word weighing heavy on him. "I got lost in it all and forgot what really matters. But I'm here now, and I want to change that." She remained silent, though her expression softened just a little. He took that as a small glimmer of hope, a chance to reach her through the wall he'd inadvertently built between them. "Can we at least try?" he urged. "Remember all those summer nights? Just you, me, and a telescope, searching for constellations? I miss that. I miss you." The flicker of nostalgia crossed Lily's face, but only for a fleeting moment before the shadows returned. "It's not just about the fun stuff, Dad. You weren't there when I really needed you. When I felt alone at school, or when Mom was sick. You were too wrapped up in business." His heart sank. Those memories flooded back. He remembered the late nights at the office, the missed phone calls, the empty chairs at the dinner table. How had he let it come to this? How could he have chosen business over family, over her? "Please," he said, stepping closer, vulnerability pouring from him. "Give me a chance to be that dad again. Let's take small steps together. I want you to help me rebuild that connection." Lily shifted her weight, as if weighing every unspoken word between them. "What does that even mean?" she challenged, needing more than just empty promises. "I'll start by being present," he replied earnestly. "I'll take that time off from work. I'll attend your school events, go back to our community, and actually be part of this town again, together, if you'll let me." The silence stretched, and Mike's heart raced. Would she really forgive him? Would she trust him again? "And if you fail?" She pushed back, the disappointment still visible in her eyes. "If I fail," he replied, "I promise to keep trying. Because you are worth it. You always have been." Something flickered in her expression. Hope or skepticism, he couldn't tell. But at least she was listening. "I'm not ready to believe you yet," she said finally, and disappointment washed over him. "But maybe we can start with breakfast tomorrow, just you and me." A surge of relief washed over Mike. "I would love that," he said, his voice full of tender hope. "Thank you." As she turned to close the door, he felt a small sense of accomplishment, an opening, however fragile. But as the door clicked shut, a chill crept in. The journey ahead wouldn't be easy. The road to her trust felt like climbing a steep mountain, but he knew he had to keep moving forward. He stood there, heart pounding, contemplating what it meant to reclaim that lost connection, wondering what tomorrow would bring. Could one breakfast change everything? Would one conversation be enough to bridge the chasm of missed moments? As he walked away, questions lingered, echoing in the evening air, pushing him into a future laced with uncertainty, yet filled with hope. The morning sun broke through the horizon, painting the sky in pastels. Mike stood in front of the bathroom mirror, his heart racing as he adjusted his tie, a simple navy blue one, a far cry from the executive garb he usually wore. Today, he wanted to feel more like a dad than a businessman. He practiced his smile, trying to shake off the weight that had settled in his chest since the night before. Breakfast with Lily. The thought made him both excited and terrified. As he prepared scrambled eggs, the hiss of butter in the pan sounded like a countdown. How did you build something so broken? Was it even possible to reclaim what had been lost? At exactly 8:30, he pulled up to their old diner, the one where they had shared countless pancakes once upon a time. The bell above the door chimed softly as he entered, and he took a moment to scan the room. Memories flooded back, a younger Lily giggling at pancake faces, syrup dripping down her chin. Then he saw her. Sitting in a booth in the back corner, she seemed smaller than he remembered, hunched over her phone, fingers flying across the screen. He felt a rush of warmth and anxiety. The girl he loved was still there, but she was wrapped in armor now. "Hey," he said, approaching the booth, trying to sound casual. "Hi." Lily looked up, her voice holding a hint of uncertainty. She put her phone down, but the distance between them felt palpable. "Did you order yet?" he asked, settling into the seat across from her. "No, I was waiting for you," she replied simply, eyes darting away. He glanced at the menu and realized he had no idea what she would order now. After a few awkward moments, a server came to take their order. Mike went for the classic eggs and bacon. Easy choice. Lily stuck with the blueberry pancakes, a favorite from the past. As they waited, the silence pressed down on them. It was heavy, filled with unspoken fears and expectations. Mike could feel his heart pounding louder than the clinking of cutlery around them. "Why'd you really want to have breakfast?" Lily finally asked, sharpness creeping back into her voice. "Do you just feel guilty?" He hesitated, searching for the right words. "No. I don't want this to be about guilt. I want it to be about us, rebuilding what we lost. I want to know who you are now." She released a soft, skeptical sigh. "You think a breakfast is supposed to fix everything?" "I know it won't fix everything, but it's a start, right?" Lily adjusted her posture, her defenses visibly trembling. "I guess it could be, but it's going to take more than just words." "Then let's talk. Just tell me what you want. I mean it." She took a deep breath, as if she was about to dive into a pool of cold water. "All right. You have to promise me that you'll actually show up, not just today, but when it counts." "I promise." The weight of that simple word hung neatly between them. They noticed the server arriving with their plates, the steaming pancakes piled high in front of Lily, and a hearty breakfast in front of Mike. But the real feast was the moment that was finally unfolding between them. They each took a bite, and the taste of pancakes brought back laughter from the past. Mike couldn't help but smile, watching Lily savor the sweetness. "Remember when I used to drown mine in syrup?" she asked, a flicker of her old self shining through the walls she had built. "Of course. You'd have syrup in your hair and on your clothes by the time we were done." Mike chuckled, feeling lighter. That small laugh started to melt some of the icy distance. "That sounds about right," she said, finally breaking into a genuine smile. And for the first time in what felt like ages, Mike dared to imagine a future where this wasn't just a fleeting moment. "Then how about we set a date for our next breakfast?" he suggested, hopeful. "Maybe I'll think about it," she teased, but her eyes sparkled with possibility. It was enough for him. As they shared the first effortless conversation in a long time, Mike realized he wouldn't let this be a one-time event. He would fight for every moment, for every chance to rebuild. But what would happen when reality intruded again? Would it be easy to turn back into a ghost again, or could he muster the resolve to stay present? As they finished their meal, a knot of uncertainty hung in the air, reframing Mike's hope in a new light. The diner buzzed with life around them, but in that booth, time felt suspended. Mike watched as Lily pushed her plate away, the remnants of syrup congealed like memories back in their place. She glanced at him, her eyes searching for something he hoped he could provide. "Dad, can I ask you something?" Her voice was careful, as though stepping through uncharted terrain. "Of course. Anything," he replied, bracing for impact. "Why now? Why do you want to be a part of my life again?" Her question hung in the air like smoke, thick and suffocating. He swallowed hard, the gravity of her words pressing against his chest. "I've missed so much. I want to be here, not just physically but emotionally. I know I was absent and it hurt you. I just want a chance to—" "To what?" she interjected, the sharpness returning to her tone. "To make it all better with a few breakfasts? Is it going to magically fix everything?" "No. I won't pretend that it will. I just want to be honest. I see the woman you've become," he said, hoping to strike a chord. "And I want to be part of that life. Not just as your dad, but as your friend." Her expression softened momentarily before she shook her head. "You think you can just waltz in, charming smile and all, and that's it? You get a friendship badge? Maybe I don't deserve it, but I'm willing to try. I'll do whatever it takes, even if it means I have to face the uncomfortable parts too." "Like what? You think breakfast dates and promises can fill the void?" Silence enveloped them again, thick and heavy. Mike could feel the weight of years slipping through the cracks. "I know it won't. I can't erase the past. But maybe we can create something new. one moment at a time. Lily didn't respond right away. Instead, she took a deep breath, contemplating his words. The vulnerability in her eyes cut through him. It was a reflection of what he felt, hope tinged with fear. "Okay," she finally said, somewhat hesitantly. "But you need to understand that I can't just trust you because you're here now. It'll take time." "I can wait," he assured her, meaning each word with the full weight of his resolve. "Time is what I want to give." Lily looked down at her half-eaten pancakes, the gears in her mind visibly turning. Mike could see the walls she'd built, the defenses still strong but perhaps showing cracks. His heart raced at the thought of her opening up, of letting him in again. They spent the next few moments talking about trivial things, her school, her friends. The atmosphere lightened, laughter punctuating the air as shared memories began stitching old wounds. It was comforting, and Mike finally felt like he could breathe a little easier. "Maybe this isn't so bad," Lily said with a smile, her eyes twinkling. "Especially if you keep your end of the deal." "Count on it," he replied, joy mingling with uncertainty. Just then, the diner's door flew open, a gust of wind cascading through the space, pulling Mike back from the moment. A boy entered, his face flush, barely glancing at Mike and Lily before storming to the counter. He looked upset, jaw clenched, as he yelled about something being unfair. Mike's attention shifted, instinctively sensing that the energy in the room had changed instantaneously. The boy's anger was palpable, setting off alarms in the pit of his stomach. "What's that all about?" Lily asked, frowning. "I don't know," Mike said, curiosity piquing, "but I have a feeling we're about to find out." The tension in the diner grew thick like syrup again, and for a moment, he forgot all about breakfast and the fragile rebuilding process between him and Lily. Something about this boy's rage latched onto a deeper concern within him, a worry that there were still battles outside of their fragile moment of connection. As they shared a glance, both realizing they had stepped into a narrative bigger than themselves, Mike felt the urge to act, to protect, to engage. But as the boy unleashed his frustrations, Mike wondered if he could truly handle more than just the breakfast table. Would he be able to navigate the storm that was brewing around them? Lily squeezed her hands together, the worry creeping back on her face, mirroring his own concern. What was happening outside their world? Was it reopening old wounds, or igniting new hope? Mike's eyes were glued to the boy, who was now at the counter, his voice rising higher and higher. Part of him wanted to get involved, to step in and help this kid find some peace, but the other part felt rooted to his seat, tethered by the gravity of his own emotions and new dynamics with Lily. "What's going on?" The waitress behind the counter stepped in, hands on her hips, her brow furrowed. "They can't just cut us. It's unfair," the boy shouted, his fists clenched at his sides. The tension in the diner felt like a strengthening storm, charged with all kinds of emotions. Lily shifted uneasily, her earlier lightness replaced by furrowed brows. "Who's cutting who?" she whispered to Mike. I think he's talking about a school team or something," Mike replied, still watching intently. His gut twisted in knots. Maybe he had some insight into injustice, however small it might seem. "Hey, kid," Mike called, breaking the diner's charged silence. The boy turned his head, surprise overtaking his anger for just a second. "What's this about? What's happened?" The boy hesitated, his lips pressed tightly, seeming to weigh the decision of whether to share with a stranger. Then, fists still clenched, he took a deep breath, defiance warring with heartbreak. "I tried out for the basketball team, and they didn't even let me play. Not even 1 minute." The words echoed in the diner, mingling with the heavy air of disappointment. Mike's heart sank. He could see pieces of himself in that boy's frustration, a yearning for belonging, for recognition. "You worked hard for that, I get it," Mike offered, forcing himself to connect. The boy's gaze softened, just a touch. "I practiced every day and they just didn't see me." A flood of pain flickered in his eyes, making Mike ache for him, for the boy's unfulfilled dreams and unmet expectations. Lily looked at him, and in that glance Mike understood that they were both feeling something akin to the boy's frustration all over again. They had each invested so much emotion into their own lives' battles, the very battles that had kept them apart. "Sometimes people miss important things," Mike said, his voice steady. "It's not fair, but it doesn't mean you aren't worth it. You are." Lily's expression shifted, taking it all in. "Yeah, just because someone doesn't see your worth doesn't mean it's not there," she added, her own voice breaking slightly. The boy blinked, his anger giving way to vulnerability. Other diners turned to listen, the atmosphere shifting. It was like the diner had suddenly morphed into a stage, and they were three actors sharing an unexpected moment of revelation. A crack formed in the boy's tough exterior as he nodded, a reluctant gratitude shining in his eyes. "Thanks," he muttered. Lily smiled softly, and for the first time, Mike felt her barriers giving way, even if only a little. There was something undeniably warming about their interaction, a spark of connection that transcended their own difficulties. "Why don't you take a seat?" Lily suggested. "We can talk about it. I'm sure it helps to share." That moment, tender and fragile, reminded Mike how much they all needed each other. If just for a heartbeat, they were united in struggle, in the human experience of pain and hope. As the boy reluctantly nodded and made his way over, Mike felt something shift again between him and Lily. A shared purpose emerged. Maybe this was the bridge they needed, bringing them further along, closer to crafting a new connection. All it took was an open heart and an honest truth. But just then, the diner door swung open again and a new figure entered. A woman with an air of urgency. She scanned the room, a look of desperation shadowing her face. Mike's heart raced. What was coming now? Was this momentary harmony about to be tested again? The woman stepped into the diner like a whirlwind, her eyes darting to each table before finally resting on the boy, who had just begun to sit with Mike and Lily. A palpable tension wrapped itself around the room, as Mike could see the boy's face drain of color, confusion mingling with worry. "Milo!" the woman called, her voice breaking the silence as she rushed across the floor. "There you are!" Milo's posture stiffened, and Mike instinctively leaned forward. The emotion hanging in the air thickened. "Mom?" Milo's voice was barely a whisper, betrayal and shock flickering in his eyes. Without missing a beat, she reached him and enveloped him in a shaky hug. "I was looking everywhere for you. You need to come home now." Mike exchanged a concerned glance with Lily. There was something desperate in the way the woman held Milo, a hint of fear in her voice that sent a shiver down his spine. "Mom, I'm fine. I'm talking to these people," Milo protested, his voice rising as he pulled away slightly. "Milo, this is not the time." The woman's tone shifted, anxiety spilling out from her. "Please, just listen to me." The diner buzzed with murmurs as other patrons strained to hear. Lily's gaze was fixed on the scene, her brows knitted together with concern. "What's going on?" Mike asked, his heart racing. "Just go home," she insisted, desperation cracking her voice. "I'll explain everything later. It's not safe for you to be out here." "Safe? What do you mean?" Milo shot back, his fists clenched once more, the anger bubbling to the surface again. "Please," she said, her eyes tearing up, searching his face. "I can't lose you. Not like this. Just trust me." Suddenly the earlier warmth that wrapped around the table felt fragile, teetering on the edge of some volatile truth. Mike could feel the shift, a sense of urgency building. It was like the diner morphed back to a storm, one that might drown them all if they weren't careful. "Maybe we should listen to her," Mike suggested quietly, standing up slightly. The words came out before he fully processed them. It was as if some deep instinct took over, the need to protect the boy taking precedence over their fragile moments just shared. Milo's resistance fell momentarily. He looked at Mike, then at his mother. "What's really going on?" "She's scared, Milo," Lily added softly, her voice a gentle nudge. "I think she's trying to protect you." Milo looked back at his mother, uncertainty swirling in his eyes. "Maybe we could just sit and talk for a moment." Mike pushed gently. "No one has to leave just yet." The woman looked at him, surprise flickering like a candle's flame. For just an instant, something glimmered in her eyes, hope mixed with desperation. "All right," she relented, wiping her cheek with the back of her hand. "But we need to be quick." Just then, the door swung open again, and a figure loomed in the doorway. This time, a man, rugged and imposing, wearing a hardened expression. The atmosphere thickened, and everyone's breath caught. "Mom, who is that?" Milo gasped, backing up next to Mike, who felt his heart pounding like thunder. The woman's response was instinctive, her gaze fastening onto the new arrival as panic clouded her features. "I didn't think he'd find us here." With each heartbeat, Mike felt the fragile connection they'd formed threatened once more. A whirlwind of emotions swelled as they stood on the edge of upheaval. Would they be torn apart in this moment of connection? Or could they find their footing together? What would happen next? Would courage emerge from this chaos, or would they be swept away? Milo's eyes locked onto the man, a mix of fear and disbelief roiling in his gut. The rugged figure stepped further into the diner, the door swinging shut behind him with a loud bang that only amplified the charged silence. "Milo, listen to me," his mother urged, her grip on him tightening as if she could shield him from the growing threat. "We need to leave, now." "Who is he, Mom?" Milo shouted, his voice cracking under the strain. The man took a step closer, and the patrons of the diner instinctively shrank back, sensing the trouble woven into the fabric of the man's presence. "Let's make this easy, Sarah. You know what I want." His voice was low and demanding, reminding Mike of a storm rolling in from the sea, ready to unleash its fury. "Milo, you don't understand," his mother started, her voice trembling. She was visibly shaken, the resolve in her eyes battling against the fear that turned her pale. "He doesn't belong here!" Milo yelled at the man, his fists balled at his sides. "Enough!" the man barked, the sound reverberating off the diner walls. "You're coming with me now!" Mike's instincts kicked in. He felt that same impulse to protect, to stand in front of Milo and shield him from the threats that were suddenly so palpable. "Just back off, okay? This isn't your business," he said, his voice steady but heart-racing. The man turned his gaze on Mike, assessing the situation with a calculating glare. "You want to be a hero? This doesn't concern you. Step aside." Lily shifted closer to Mike, her eyes wide with concern. "We can't let him take Milo." Her voice quivered slightly, laced with a mix of fear and determination. As tension mounted, Milo looked between the two adults, uncertainty flickering in his gaze. "Mom, is he telling the truth? Am I in danger?" The woman hesitated, the inner conflict playing out on her face. "It's complicated, sweetheart, but I promise, I'm trying to protect you." Tears shimmered in her eyes as she squeezed Milo's shoulders, grounding him in her anguish. "Milo, I can tell you everything," she stammered, her voice cracking. "If you just trust me." "Trust?" Milo echoed, the word a bitter taste on his tongue. "You didn't even tell me he was looking for us." Before she could respond, the man took another step, his entire demeanor shifting to one of impatience. "This is your last chance, Sarah. You can either come with me quietly, or I'll make sure he learns just how serious I am." His eyes darkened. Mike felt the weight of the world pressing down on him. Milo's whole future seemed to hang by a thread, and every second counted. "What does he want?" he asked urgently, looking at the woman. I can't say here," she whispered, her gaze pleading. "Then let's get out of here now," Milo urged, standing straighter, defiance lighting his features. Suddenly, the diner door swung open again, and another figure appeared, a girl about Milo's age, her expression desperate. "Milo, please don't listen to him." Milo's heart sank. Who was she? How did she know? As chaos began to swirl around them, a sense of urgency ignited inside him. The man turned, clearly irked. "What now?" he snapped, fixing his glare on the newcomer. In that moment, Milo felt the walls closing in. Could he really trust anyone? Just then, a flicker of hope ignited, but a deep-seated fear still clung to him. He needed answers, fast. And as the tension peaked, he reached deep, ready to dive into uncertainty. What truth was hidden beneath the layers of fear and deception? Could he unravel it before it was too late? Milo's heart raced as he turned to the girl, searching her eyes for anything that might assure him they could escape this mess. "You know me?" he asked, his voice low, filled with uncertainty. "More than you think," she replied, urgency dripping from every word. "My name's Emma. You have to trust me. He's not who you think he is. The man sneered at her, defiant and unyielding. You'll regret interrupting, girl. This isn't a game. Milo felt a shiver trickle down his spine. His instincts screamed for him to listen to Emma, to run, but fear kept him rooted in place. He looked back at his mom, who was still holding on to him like he was her lifeline. There was no way he could ignore the terror she was radiating. Why do you care? He yelled, frustration rushing over him. Why are you even here? Because you're in danger, Emma cried. I can explain everything, but not here. We need to get out of this diner. She reached for him, then paused, glancing anxiously back at the man. The atmosphere was electric, thick with tension. The diner patrons held their breaths, eyes darting suspiciously between the storm brewing at the counter and their cold plates of uneaten food. Mike stood between the threatening figure and Milo, heart pounding as he prepared for whatever was coming. Let him go, Sarah, the man barked, stepping forward again, his voice heavy with menace. You're risking everything by keeping him here. Milo felt a mix of anger and fear. Mom? Is he telling the truth? What's going on? His voice shook, but he couldn't show weakness. Not now. Milo, Enough, he shouted. You said you'd protect me, but how can I trust you if you're not telling me what's really happening? Emma's desperation was palpable. Please, Milo, come with me. We need to go now. I know things that he doesn't want you to learn. The man's expression twisted into a furious scowl, and Mike felt a bubble of raw anger rise inside him. You'll have to get through me first, he said, muscles coiling tight as he prepared himself for a confrontation. Mike, Lily whispered, fear creeping into her voice. We can't fight him here. He'll... Enough of this, the man yelled. He lunged forward, and without thinking, Mike stepped in front of Milo, ready to take the blow. Suddenly, Milo felt a rush of adrenaline surge through him. He stepped around Mike, facing off against the man. I'm not afraid of you. Whatever you want, you won't take me. The man paused, eyes narrowing, surprise flickering across his features. You don't know what you're dealing with, kid. I don't care, Milo shouted. Just tell me the truth. Why are you after us? Milo, stop, his mother cried, but her voice was drowned out by the tension exploding in the air. The diner's atmosphere felt thick, heavy, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. Just as the man's mouth opened, clearly ready to unleash more threats, the diner doors slammed open again. A police officer stood at the entrance, badge glinting under the fluorescent lights. What's happening here? He demanded, scanning the room. Milo's heart leaped. Was this their chance? But that hope was quickly extinguished when he saw the man's expression morph into chilling calmness, as if he'd been waiting for this moment all along. How convenient, the man muttered, easing back slightly but still eyeing Milo like a wolf watching its prey. Fear clawed at Milo's insides. What would happen now? Could they really escape? As the officer stepped forward, the urgency of the moment intensified. Would the truth finally come out, or was this just the beginning of something much darker? The officer stepped further into the diner, his body tense, eyes fixed on the man who seemed to command the room. The silence hung heavily, each breath echoing like a heartbeat in the charged atmosphere. Milo felt a flicker of hope, but it was quickly swallowed by an overwhelming dread when he sensed the man's composure, a predator in the midst of prey. Everyone stay calm, the officer said, voice firm. What's going on here? His gaze darted between Milo, Emma, and the looming figure, gauging the interplay of fear and defiance. The man cracked a smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. Just a misunderstanding, officer. A family squabble. Milo's pulse thrummed loudly in his ears as he watched the officer scrutinize the man. He could feel the weight of the adult's attention on him, the invisible bond of protection lacing through the air. Family, huh? The officer said, one eyebrow raised. This doesn't look like your average squabble to me. Emma leaned closer to Milo, urgency in her whisper. You have to trust me. He wants to take you because you're special. We need to. Back off! The man barked suddenly, eyes ablaze, cutting through Emma's words. The officer stepped forward, but raised a hand to indicate a pause. "Sir," the officer said slowly, "I need to understand why a stranger would be threatening this boy in front of his mother." Milo could feel a piercing gaze on him from the man. Every muscle in his body coiled, ready to react. His mom's grip on him tightened further, her eyes wide with a mix of fear and desperation. "Enough!" the man shouted, an edge of rage in his voice. He took a threatening step closer to the officer. "Don't think you understand the danger here." Emma's expression transformed from urgency to determination. She stepped forward, breaking the tension that seemed to snake its way through the diner. "He's not just any boy. He's connected to something bigger, something that could change everything." Milo's heart sank at her words. What did she mean? Change everything? The officer, caught off guard by Emma's sudden confession, glanced back at Molly. "Is that true?" Before she could respond, the man surged forward, but Mike intercepted him, strength visibly radiating off his frame. "You'll have to get through me first," he roared, his voice brave even if his heart raced with fear. "Milo," Emma cried, her voice filled with urgency. "We don't have much time. He'll try to grab you when the officer is distracted. We need to move now." Milo's mind raced, thoughts colliding. He could feel every eye in the diner glued to them, uncertainty blanketing the crowd. He couldn't just stand by. He wouldn't let fear dictate his actions. He looked at Emma, her eyes shimmering with something he could only call honesty. "Okay," Milo shouted, his voice cracking with determination. "I'll come with you. Just tell me how." Before Emma could answer, the air shifted, the tension morphing into chaos as the diner doors slammed open once more. More officers poured in, their uniforms stark against the diner's warm lighting, drawing everyone's attention. Milo's heart raced again, but this time it felt like the flutter of possibility. Would this be enough? Would they finally uncover the truth? "Get back!" the man shouted, panic slicing through his bravado. "You don't want to do this!" "Milo!" Emma's voice broke through, fierce. "We need to go, now!" As the chaos erupted around them, Milo made his choice. With one last look at his trembling mother, he nodded to Emma, ready to face the unknown with her by his side. He turned, sprinting toward the back exit, his heart hammering in sync with the fierce urgency of escape. The diner's noise faded behind him, replaced by the rush of adrenaline. But he couldn't shake the question that loomed over him. What awaited them outside? Would they really uncover the truth? Or would danger follow them into the darkness? As Milo dashed through the back exit, adrenaline surged through him like a runaway train. He sprinted down the narrow alleyway behind the diner, Emma just a step behind him. The sound of chaos faded, replaced by the urgent thrum of his heartbeat. "Milo, keep going!" Emma shouted, glancing back to ensure they weren't followed. He barely dared to breathe, fear and excitement mingling in his gut. Danger lurked behind them, but a flicker of hope ignited within him, a chance to reclaim control over his own life. Emma led him through the winding streets, their footsteps echoing against the pavement. "We need to get somewhere safe," she urged, pulling him toward a small park at the edge of town, a place filled with memories of laughter and light. His lungs burned, but the thought of being cornered drove him forward. "Milo!" His mom's voice suddenly called from behind, breaking through the chaos of his thoughts. He skidded to a halt, scanning the street for her. His heart ached at the sight of her, still standing by the diner, fear written across her face. "Mom!" he yelled, torn between staying with Emma and rushing back to her side. "No! Stay with her!" his mother shouted, the desperation in her voice cutting through the noise. Milo hesitated, the fear in his mother's eyes stunning him. Could he really leave her? But a voice deep within urged him forward. "Emma," he said, "we can't just leave her. I promise we'll come back, but right now, we're in danger," she insisted, grabbing his shoulder, her grip firm but reassuring. If he gets to her first, his heart pounded painfully in his chest. He understood. If they didn't escape this moment, everything they sought could vanish like a shadow. "Okay. Let's go," he relented, needing to trust in something bigger than himself. With a final glance back, Milo sprinted after Emma through the park, weaving through familiar trees and benches, feeling the life of the place push against the weight of the danger behind them. The park entrance opened onto a side road, leading to a quiet neighborhood. Once they reached a secluded house belonging to a family friend, Emma quickly opened the door, urging him inside. Shadows danced on the walls as they entered the cozy living room, still decorated with the warmth of home. "Is this safe?" Milo breathed heavily, resting against the door as Emma locked it behind them. "It's safe for now," Emma said, taking a moment to catch her breath. "We just need to stay low until we figure this out." But even with those comforting words, doubt clouded his mind. Who was that man? Why is he after us? Emma's expression shifted, determination flaring in her eyes. "I can't tell you everything yet, but he's bad news. You're special, Milo, more than you know, and he wants something from you that could put you and everyone you care about in danger." Milo felt a chill creep down his spine. "What do you mean?" "You have abilities," she explained, urgency in her voice. "Things you can do that you might not even realize yet. They're connected to your family's past, to something big, and he knows about it." "Abilities?" He struggled to understand. His world had just been flipped upside down and it was overwhelming. "Yes, but you need to trust me. We have to figure out how to protect you, how to use it, and fast." A rush of questions bubbled in his mind, but before he could voice them, the door rattled. The noise sent a surge of fear coursing through him. "Quick, to the back." Emma's eyes widened as they both dashed toward the kitchen. They huddled behind the counter, hearts racing. "Do you think he followed us?" Milo whispered, panic creeping in. Emma nodded, brows furrowed as she peered through the window. "We can't take any chances." Suddenly the door flew open, splintering with force. Milo held his breath, eyes wide as the silhouette of the imposing man filled the doorway. "Where are you, Milo?" he called, voice deep and venomous, hunting for them. "You can't run forever." Milo's mind reeled. Every instinct told him to fight or run, but he felt frozen, caught in a web of fear. Just then, he felt a strange warmth gather within him, a spark that flickered to life. "Focus," Emma whispered. "Tap into whatever is inside you." The man advanced, stepping further into the room, eyes scanning. In that moment, Milo honed in on that warmth, and a rush of clarity flooded him. "No!" he shouted, stepping out from behind the counter, determined. "I'm done hiding." The man halted, surprise flashing across his face. "You're making a mistake." But Milo didn't waver. With a surge of energy radiating from his core, he extended a hand, light bursting forth, illuminating the room. The shock on the man's face said it all as he stumbled back, the glow momentarily blinding him. "What are you?" Milo's heart raced, but for the first time he felt powerful, like he wasn't just a pawn in someone else's game. "I'm Milo Connor," he declared, voice steady. "And I'm not afraid of you." Emma's eyes widened, pride swelling within her. "That's it. Keep going." Emboldened by her encouragement, he focused the energy, feeling it pulse through his fingertips. The man lunged forward again, but Milo was faster, sending a shockwave through the air that blasted the door off its hinges. "Milo!" Emma shouted, barely able to keep up with him. The man staggered, a mix of rage and shock twisting his features. "You don't know what you've unleashed," he bellowed, scrambling to regain his footing. For a brief moment, Okilo felt alive and in control. "You don't scare me anymore." With one swift movement, he directed another burst of energy straight at the man, sending him crashing into the far wall with an impressive thud. With an air of finality, the man lay still, the light flickering out as Emma rushed Milo's side. "You did it!" she exclaimed, awe painted across her face. "I did!" Tears brimmed in Milo's eyes, relief flooding him as adrenaline drained from his system. "But he'll come back," Emma warned, glancing nervously at the door now broken and ajar. "We need to leave, now." The thought of running overwhelmed him, uncertainty pressing on his chest. "But where?" She grabbed his hand firmly. "We'll figure it out, together. I promise you're not alone anymore, Milo. We can rebuild your life, create something strong, a family." The once familiar sense of fear faded, replaced with a belief in their shared strength. "Let's go," Milo agreed, determination sparking within him. As they stepped outside, the weight of danger felt lighter, but a new path of hope unfolded before them. One rooted in togetherness. The journey toward discovery awaited them, and he felt ready. "Ready?" Emma asked, glancing back once more. "Yeah," he replied with a radiant smile, stepping forward into the unknown with her by his side, their bond anchoring him. And as they ventured forward, a flicker of hope ignited in the distance. This was just the beginning. Now it's your turn. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.